All right, what is up, takers? Welcome back to Tides Take. Today we are live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. Happy Sunday. Joining me today is hip hop and R&B music artist Drew Verdé, and I'm going to go ahead and add Drew to the stage. How's it going?
Hey man, it's going good. How's it going?
Absolutely. So I just want to go ahead and dive in. We're live streaming. So if y'all are watching and want to let us know where you're watching from, feel free to show some love in the comments on Facebook and YouTube. But really, I just want to dive in and introduce you as an artist and a creative to our audience and tell us how you really got started in the music industry.
I started with music. My dad early on when I was like 5 or 6, around that age, he got me into Michael Jackson like heavily. He was really into like Martin Luther King, Black Panthers, a lot of Motown, Michael Jackson, obviously, stuff like that. And he had cassette tapes that he recorded back in the day, VH1 recordings and stuff like that. And it was the Moonwalker, a bunch of different, Michael Jackson movies and stuff. He put in front of me as a kid, and I fell in love with music from that, really, and just like my whole childhood, like well, not my whole childhood, but when he was in it, um, uh, it was like years of like Motown music and '90s R&B, '90s hip hop, '80s too, and on his end with the music that he liked, and that's really what got me um more into it gradually on the singing side of things and just being a music lover in general. Um,
Absolutely, because you dabble in both hip hop and R&B, kind of like a mix of both genres, correct?
yeah, yeah, correct, for sure.
Absolutely. So, how would you describe your sound and how has it evolved over time from the beginning when you first started to present day? And then, what really sets you apart from, say, other music artists or producers out there, and especially in Detroit?
Right. Well, when I first started, I always tell people this, like, you should I mean, this is beliefs from other like MCs too and stuff like that, and just artists. Like, start when you first start off, if you start off trying to sound like somebody, like you're not supposed to do that. But when you first start off, it's not bad too, because now you're like mimicking them, kind of like growing sharper with the music, by kind of like basically I felt like I was Eminem when I first started rapping in my head. My life was similar, you know what I'm saying? So I would write stuff in the form of like how Eminem would a lot. And slowly through time, I started falling into more of a like my own lane, you know what I'm saying, with my own sound of how I want stuff to sound, basically from learning from that, from sharpening it from that. And many other artists I would gradually go to, like Akon, Ti, Michael Jackson. For some of the stuff I do still to this day, I try to kind of, he's amazing, but I try to do certain things that is from being inspired by that. But overall, I've evolved into a very versatile musician that really can do, I don't know, I can't say it all, but I love music so much that I'm willing to do like any genre as long as it's good music. And it's evolved to a point where I feel like I can confidently call myself a musical genius, and a lot of the stuff I make is authentic and genuine and therapeutic, and it's my own way of, my own unique way of displaying my art and just basically my mentality and everything. And in Detroit too, Eminem, obviously he's from Detroit. You got Royce the 5'9", from Detroit, Motown, and Michael Jackson involved with all that, in Detroit, and just so many different legends and genres and stuff from Detroit. I grew, it hit home more knowing that, like, oh, Eminem was from where I'm from. Oh, Motown is where I'm from, where I'm from. So it kind of pushed me to want to be accepted in that realm of music. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing a lot of documentaries as a kid, watching the Temptations, because they were big for me too, based off of my dad's playlist of what he would play, and it just stuck with me and became nostalgic. And I gradually just grew into more of a mature musician that does it for my reality and how I feel, and whoever can relate can grab onto that, you know what I'm saying, and help them.
Absolutely, using it as an outlet, so not so much being able to be, like you said, versatile and not sticking to just one genre. being
Yeah.
able to relate to the many different genres.
Yeah.
So I know I'm sure people that have been following you have been seeing you everywhere from Local 4 to
Yeah.
CBS Detroit.
Yeah.
How did those opportunities come about? I know you're also currently promoting an upcoming event, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in just a second.
Yeah.
But what has been the experience as the music artist thus far for you?
Um, well, how the CBS and the Local 4 and stuff, how that came about was basically, Jake Bass. Jake Bass is the son of Jeff Bass, and
Mhm.
uh, Jeff Bass is one half of the Bass brothers. The Bass brothers is Mark Bass and Jeff Bass. They found Eminem basically and worked with Eminem early on in his career, and they and Jeff Bass had produced the beat for Lose Yourself, Superman, many things like that. And I had linked with them about a year ago or so, maybe over a year, no, 2 years ago now, I think, or so. And since then, I just been building music on a low key. I've been putting little singles out here and there, but I've been mainly just working hard. Just we have a lot of music that hasn't been heard yet and stuff. So because of the show that's coming up with the Ferndale show we're about to talk about, uh Jake wanted to basically promo that, but I'm gonna be performing there. I'm gonna be performing the song "Go Your Way" that I performed on the news. So basically he figured out why not, you know, knock out two birds with one stone, basically. And so he chose me to, be on the news for that. And I'm very appreciative, and it went very well, and it was very scary. Um, but yeah, what was the next thing you said after that?
So yeah, just how does it feel for you as an upcoming artist to like you said be able to have your talents like on that type of platform and to have that audience.
It feels surreal. It doesn't feel. I'm used to like things not working out, because a lot of people quit with music or anything in life once it doesn't really work. So it's like I had since it's a passion. I've been doing music so much that I got used to like failing because you had to fail to succeed. And so getting to this point now just feels very. Um, I'm super grateful, super humbled. It feels like my dream is slowly coming true, and it's more hope for my future, for my music, for me, because a lot of artists get in their head about a lot of things, like people in general do, but as artists we're real sensitive about our music and stuff. It's cliche at this point to say, but no, we really are. So it's like it's cool because coming up as an artist too, like you got your people that aren't a fan of your music, and then you got people that are a fan of your music. So when you run into people or people that that just don't seem interested in your music, even at today, like if I go show certain people like that I know, like they just don't seem too interested. So when I go and I meet new people that I see appreciate my music and are interested and are happy about the news and found me off the news, it feels super good to hear their perspective because they're in the mindset of like just great intentions and just um basically new fans, and they just see me in a different light. So the conversations are more cool, and I don't feel like I'm bragging when I'm talking to them necessarily. It feels like they genuinely want to hear from. So it feels good hearing from new people and doing new things that are going to bring opportunities to meet new good people. It's awesome. It's a cool feeling.
Absolutely. And what would you say has been like the biggest challenge for you as an artist that you have overcome so far? I know you posted on you posted a deep personal status on your social media a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So how have those personal experiences that you have lived and overcome shaped your music and the message that you want to convey to your audience?
Um, Based off of everything that I really been through in my life, I'd say I'll start with from what I said in that status, or what I'm basically open with anyways. My mom was a drug addict. My dad was an alcoholic. But aside from my dad, my mom, when my dad left, I had to always observe her and watch her, and it gave me more of a different level of observation of how people work. And I started taking that because I used to have to do it to figure out okay, is she gonna overdose? Is she good? Or when she'd say she's clean, I had to figure out at a young age, like, let me spot this to see the signs. And it was sometimes very easy. Sometimes she'd try to hide it really well. But I carried that on with just music and stuff in general, and it gave me a different perspective of observation in life in general. So I watch people. I have always had this thing to where I grew anxiety towards social interaction because of the fact that I didn't like to associate with people a lot. I was a loner. I stayed to myself. I didn't trust people because a lot of the people in my early life that I ran into were not trustworthy. So I only seen people for a certain way. So I would just get very anxious to be around crowds or around certain people because I also came from like violence and stuff like drug use, violence, just things that I'd have to get real deep into to explain this stuff that just made me very, very alert. And being very alert can make you very anxious and make you very paranoid. So I struggled with getting on stage from that because now I'm in front of people that I don't even like interacting with one. So I'm like now in front of a group of people and I'm like, oh wow. All right. So then I had to figure out how to get past the challenge of remembering my lyrics while going through a panic attack. And getting past that to getting desensitized to no longer focusing on the panic attack and more so just focusing on the performance and trying to overcome that. And that's just with rapping. And then with singing, I was never really a good singer like that. So it's like having to overcome that too on stage. Now it's like I got to remember my lyrics, and that was the hard part before. But now it's not because I really make sure I rehearse and practice. But now it's remembering the memory, the melody notes at certain times, and not letting the adrenaline take over and me forget to hit a note here because I'm so in my head. So now it's like I got to multitask and I have ADHD. So it's like it makes it a big challenge for what made it a big challenge. Now it's like getting a lot easier for me. So I'm like, okay, finally I got over that challenge that a lot of people don't even want to take the first step because they know how scared it is, how scary it can be. And that's how it was with me. But I love music so much. I was like, I have to do it. I wish I didn't have to. I love doing it. But back then I was like, man, I wish I didn't have to perform. I wish I could just make music and throw it out. But now it's like I like interacting with people more nowadays because
Absolutely. It's much
yeah,
easier after having to like go through the process itself a couple times.
yeah.
Speaking of, just being an artist and being vulnerable, if there's people watching that may be battling or struggling with addiction or, different mental health matters, anxiety, depression, or even having loved ones or family members that may be going through or battling and trying to overcome those issues, what
Yeah.
advice would you give to people out there that may be watching today?
Oh, I got some good advice. It's basically what works for me is if you're already going through a lot of stuff in life and you're already depressed, you already have this cloud over you. The first thing that you really need to do, it sounds crazy and somewhat irrelevant, but it's not, is get your health right, eat right, exercise, work out, because what happens is we eat we eat so like the foods that a lot of the foods that people eat, it can affect your brain and your thought process and make you feel negative and think negative the same way cigarettes can do it. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have a good mental health and you're going through a lot, you can end up feeling suicidal, especially if there's doctors giving you stuff like medication for it, and you just take that on top of eating at a weak diet and not really focusing on your mental health in those regards. You'll become weak-minded, and then eventually people will try to commit suicide. It's harder and it's easier to gain willpower if you just make responsible decisions of, okay, this isn't about me trying to like lose weight or gain weight. This is about me trying to focus on my mental health. But at the same time, it helps overall. But I realized that really helps. And the working out, when you work out and you exercise, it feels crazy. It doesn't feel good for the first few months. But once you get past that, it lets off dopamine in your brain that I have ADHD. I can't get, it's crazy. I can't like feel the dopamine that the average person feels in their brain, which means like I don't feel excitement or certain things that other people feel. I had to take Adderall for that usually. So my first time taking Adderall was last year. And when I took it, no, probably 2 years ago now. And when I took it, it made me feel a certain way. It balanced out and gave me dopamine to a point where I was like, man, this is how people feel. Like I don't feel high or nothing. I just feel great. I feel positive. I can read. I could, like my mental health felt a little better. But I know Adderall is addicting still and is bad. So I ended up not being on Adderall for some time, and I ended up eating healthy, working out, and I started realizing I was getting that same feeling. So it's basically like almost a cure for ADHD, but ADHD gives depression and all that. And I feel like that same concept works for even people who don't have ADHD. If you're not focusing on your mental health and you're going head on in a dark time, you're gonna most likely you're gonna lose. You know what I'm saying? You got to focus on you so you can then withstand whatever you're going through.
Absolutely. And then I do also I saw that you were recently recognized at the Detroit Music Awards. What was that? What was that experience like? What has the reaction been? How did you feel when you first found out about that recognition?
I was super surprised because it came out of nowhere, and I usually have things happen not in such a short amount of time, and it was like right after the news stuff, and a few other things that I got a message from my boy Jorg over at Hyped Up Live Sessions, uh, and he told me that I'm nominated or not nominated. He told me that I'm Artist Spotlight of the Week, and I was like at the Detroit Music Awards, and I was like, what? No, there's no way. There's no way. But I knew it had to have been true, obviously. But I was sitting thinking like, there's no way. So I was really excited in my room when nobody was looking. I was pacing back and forth like, oh, I was like, man, you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, just keep going. So that's another thing. I tell myself a lot of the times more positive things than negative things now, because I try to feed my brain things in a routine to make my brain subconsciously reciprocate that with some positive energy back. But it felt great having them say that and acknowledge that, because like I said before, it just feels good meeting new people that can. I just want to be able to get to a point to where I can just perform my music in front of people that love the music, my music, and it just feels like an intimate feeling of like just an overwhelming feeling of great music and a great time. And I feel like every with that happening with the Detroit Music Awards again, I felt like I'm getting closer to that point, and it felt very. I have a son too, so it felt really good knowing that I'm doing this and he's going to be able to look at me and be like, "That's my dad." So it just all felt really good. Super.
Absolutely. And then I do want to talk a little bit. We mentioned it earlier during our conversation. So the Death in Loud holiday show, I think we're going to throw a flyer in the middle of us there.
Yep.
Um, but can you tell us a little bit about the event and what can people expect from you during this event?
I'm gonna be performing a few songs. One of the songs is gonna be the one I performed on the news, "Go Your Way." But then another song I'm performing is gonna be with Apropos, produced by Jake Bass, and that one is it's a Christmas song that we're doing, and I actually have my son on it, like singing, well, saying something in the chorus. But it's a Christmas song for like kids all ages and stuff like that. Just something cool that I thought of that I was like, Christmas was coming up, obviously, and I was like, I want to do something like a Christmas feeling song. I want to challenge myself and see if I can do something in that realm and make it actually sound good. Uh, and it's gonna be for sure. It's gonna be amazing. Apropos has an amazing voice. Everybody should check him out if you guys haven't yet. He's amazing. Apropos, because it's kind of difficult to spell. But yeah, it's gonna be something really, really cool. Nobody's heard yet. It's gonna release on the day of the show, so everywhere on all streaming services, and that's something to look forward to for me and for anybody who wants to hear new music from me. It's not going to be a letdown at all. You can expect like just great people there. Sean Forbes is a great guy. I met him a few times, and he's just a great dude. Very talented. Um, Jake Bass, obviously, I told you, I explained who that is. Amazing dude. Me and him have been building more of a relationship too, and that's somebody I can truly call a good friend. Um, Apropos, like I said, he's a cool dude too, super cool. Um, Ryan Scott, I'm real cool with him. I record his tracks at my home studio and stuff, or he goes to Jake's too. He's amazing too, very talented. Mama Yaya, she's amazing. Great voice. Am I missing anybody? Yeah, it's gonna be an amazing event. It's gonna be a really fun night. And apparently there was a couple weeks ago already 200 tickets sold, and the max capacity is 300. So
Oh, wow, that's wild. It's actually in my hometown, so I'm
yeah,
bummed that I'm not making it out because
yeah,
that's my city. So be sure to I know tickets are still on sale. They
right,
can be also purchased at the door for $10, correct?
yeah,
And then doors open at 7. And then we'll of course post all the event information and how people can get tickets in the caption of this video, in the video description. So aside from this upcoming event, Drew, do you have any upcoming projects? I know you said you currently have some singles out on all of the music streaming services, but really as we transition into 2025,
mm,
it's crazy that it's already December.
time's flown.
I'm like 2025. Let me make sure I even say that right.
Yeah.
Uh, but what can we expect from you as this year closes and into the new year?
Well, for this year, basically, I'm just gonna end it off with that Christmas song. And I'm gonna do a music video as well. I don't know exactly when that's going to drop, but it definitely gonna be this month. I'm gonna close it out with that. But I've had some cool with okay, so me and Jake were project wise and stuff like that. I was gonna do a project, but I'm very, very picky with with projects. Like I like the art of I just love hip hop and I love how everything has to be very conceptual and different and unique. And I I I'm just picky with it. I have a bunch of different songs that I have, but I want it to come together perfectly how I want. And I decided through time, since I'm not even known yet, some people like to operate differently, but since I'm not even known yet, I wanted to throw out because you know how everybody has a short memory, short term memory and stuff nowadays. I wanted to just drop just really good singles and stuff that I can build content off of, but behind closed doors, behind the scenes, work with different people with different credible artists and stuff and just build relationships that way while I'm doing it. So when the time comes that I finally do drop an album or I'm about to, I already have a built fan base and they're like, this is going to be his first album. You know what I'm saying? Wow, that's, give him something to anticipate and really want to see what is he going to do with this album. We've never seen him make something before. So I've been really pushing towards that in 2025. Um, but like as of like genres and versatility, I actually there's a rapper named Royce the 5'9". He's Eminem's. Do you know who that is? It's
Yeah, I'm
okay,
familiar.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Royce the 5'9". His brother is Kid Vicious. Kid Vicious is a phenomenal rapper too. He's he's his blood brother. He's his brother. So Kid Vicious has a show called Alien. Well, it has a show called Alien Gang Radio, and he does these reviews on YouTube, and him and his people, and my partner, like my business partner, basically my producer too. His name's Brody Gans. He sent over a track that me and him did, and it was a hip hop song. And he told me a little bit after, I forgot how it went. It was like I didn't realize he did it actually. And I got Kid Vicious followed me and I was, oh wow. Then he told me about how he sent that and I was, oh, okay, cool. And then he sent me a link. And then I seen Kid Vicious and them really rocking with it heavy, like the song. And they gave me song of that whole show, of the whole episode 1, I believe. And I was like, oh dang. So me and him have been talking and we are working on a few songs. One of the songs is with DJ Los. And it's on a project that DJ Los is doing, a beat project where he's gonna have a bunch of different artists on there. I believe he said, yeah, Miss Corona, and just a bunch of different artists. And so he wants to put me and Vicious on a song on one of his beats on there. And I finished my end, and then Vicious is finishing his. And I don't know when it's gonna release or nothing like that. That's just been in the works. And it's opened up new doors with Los and with Vicious and with Jake because I also have a song with Marv One now. A song is for sure going to eventually come with Kaniva. We've already talked about it and stuff of Kaniva of D12. And Paris Noel, he's a cool dude. He's doing his thing right now. Like if you anybody wants to look him up, he's a great artist. He raps really good and he's killing it. Nissan, uh, it's that's well, I don't think he likes to be. He's Proof Son, but he's also a great artist. Aside from that, you wouldn't even think he's Proof Son. His
Mm.
stuff is just like just so creative and is like aesthetic art. You know what I'm saying? He's amazing. I did a song with him. It's called What They Talking About. Um, and it's out right now. It's on all streaming services. And yeah, so it's like hip hop on the hip hop end and the pop end. I got some stuff going and brewing up that I'm gonna eventually, really shoot out as a eventually as a project. I am working on still a project though on the side while this is going on because I'm able to like make music at a good rate. So it's like I'm working on other things on the side, like so I can save time with these singles and with these collabs and with these, I'm gonna on the side have my own thing going on. That's gonna be something that if I do a project, it's gonna be something that is the first one is going to be something I want unique and me, 100%, me, not trying to sound like anybody else. Maybe there's inspirations and stuff, but when you hear it, it's me. And that's what I plan for 2025. It's just a bunch of different things with a bunch of different credible musicians.
Absolutely. So fingers crossed we can maybe, I know you said you're very particular about who you collab with and what you're producing and putting out there. So possibly maybe a full length album at some point, or we're not going to hint at that just yet.
I could, and in 2025, I could,
Yes, sir.
I could see a full length album in 2025. If I guarantee it, full length album in 2025.
Y'all heard it here, hopefully first.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we do have a question that I'm gonna pull up on the screen, and then I'll read it as well, just in case you can't see it. So Rachel Giordano, she's checking in on YouTube. She says, as an artist, where do you find inspiration when you are not feeling inspired? She said that she is currently on an inspiration low right now, and would love to know what you do to get into that. To get inspired and to get into that creative space?
Um, like first and foremost, I'm a music lover. So to get in that space, a lot of the times, if you watch, for me particularly, I watch like the Temptations movie, 8 Mile, um, even that Elvis movie. I forgot what it was, the new one that recently came out. I watched that. A lot of different artists I watched, like either documentaries or just movies, stuff like that. It inspires me to watch what they went through and what they're doing, and they show a creative process during that. And it gets me in a musical. If you watch a scary movie, you leave, you still feel that feeling of scared. Well, if you watch something that's really inspirational and something that's in your niche and what you want to do, and you keep feeding your mind that, it'll build some subconscious inspiration behind it, and it'll make you want to be like, you know what? I want to get up and I want to record something. I just thought of something, or I have this idea. They just made me. I got inspired from watching these legends do this. You know what I'm saying? That helps a lot of the time. And then I noticed too, like for some reason, when I have like writer's block, 'cause that's basically the same thing. When I have writer's block, I allow myself to take a break. I take a break for a certain amount of time and then when I come back to it, like maybe like a couple weeks or so, and when I come back to it, I feel like I'm even better. I feel like I allowed myself to like mentally just not push yourself too much and force it. Because if you force it, it's just not going to work. You just go with the flow. Feed your mind some inspirational stuff involving music, and just go with the flow of things. And when you feel it, I know. Also, Quincy Jones. This was a quote or something, not actually not word for word, but something about what Quincy Jones said is, "It's best to make music at 10 p.m. or later." Because for some reason at those times is when your voice is more relaxed. And he said 10 p.m. See, for me, I'm a night owl, so that don't seem that late for me. Some people are like 10 p.m. I'm out by 8. You know what I'm saying? But no, like I'm a night owl, so I kind of felt that when he said that. But that's how I operate is at night when the world is asleep. I feel better. I feel like it's just me and the universe. You know what I'm saying? No interruptions, no nothing. I have a home studio too, so it really helps that way. But
I completely understand because for me, I'm generally not a morning person, but I have been trying to. I read this book called The 5 a.m. Club,
Yeah,
and it's about basically, like you said, how like for you it's night, but it's about a group of people that just start their day every morning at 5 a.m. And
yeah,
I work a main job too, so like that's 9 a.m. clock in.
yeah,
But getting up at 5 a.m., I have felt very, more so more creative, more
yeah,
like wanting to
yeah,
book interviews and get stuff done.
yeah,
Um, so
100%.
yeah, I think finding that balance, when you have multiple jobs or side hustles or just finding that time to make sure that you balance it out.
Yeah, find
Um,
out what works for you. Just whatever works for you. Just go with the flow and feel yourself out, and that's just really that, you know?
Absolutely. And once again, so shout outs to Rachel and everybody that's chiming in the comments and watching on YouTube and Facebook. Drew, before we get out of here, is there anything else that people should know about you? Where to find you on social media? I'm going to go ahead and pull up that flyer one more time for the Death and Loud holiday show, which,
Okay.
as you guys can see, is happening on Friday, December 13th in Ferndale, right off
Yeah.
of Woodward. So right in my city. Doors
Yeah.
open at 7 and tickets are $10 at the door. And then we'll of course post all the event information. I know we're gonna hopefully get a live stream of the event on our channel so that if you guys can't be there in person, you guys should be able to at least follow us on social media and see that live stream. And we'll have some after the show conversations and video footage and photos as well from the big event.
Yep. Yeah, I'll just say Drew Verdé music everywhere on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, Drew Verdé music. And you'll find different, pop, hip hop, whatever one you like.
Absolutely. I am wishing you much success on the event. Once again, that's on December 13th, correct?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
And then once again, I just want to say thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you and hopefully discuss your first actual full length album and any upcoming projects you have coming up as well. So I appreciate you for stopping by today.
I appreciate you too, man. Anytime.
Absolutely. All right, takers, that's going to do it for us. Once again, this is Tides Take Today. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to go ahead and follow Drew right there on Instagram, all social media platforms at Drew Verdé Music. And then be sure to also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/at It's Tides Take Today. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on YouTube as well. Instagram, you already know what it is, at Tides Take Today. That's going to do it for this edition of Tides Take Today Live. We have more lives coming up. So thank you guys so much for supporting as always. And as you know, be sure to tell a friend, and then be sure that you are focusing on your mental health because as always, you can't pour from an empty cup. That's going to do it for us. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.